Uh, I'm wondering if any of you have ever heard of the term synthesis or have seen that concept in games like Valheim before. Oh, turnips. Because I grew up with Final Fantasy IX, and oh man, I love that synthesis system in there. The way that special form of crafting works in that game is that you have your standard weapons and armor and accessories that you can buy or find throughout the world in special ways, or you can go to a synthesis shop, you pay a certain amount, and you can craft using old materials and you synthesize them together into something that is better. And oh man, I would love something like that. Now it wouldn't be a one to one. It wouldn't be just, oh yeah, we'll take this old gear and that's it. No, it would be more like a combination of Final Fantasy IX and one of the more obscure Final Fantasies, Final Fantasy Crystal Chronicles Echoes of Time. So I'll just call it Echoes of Time for time's sake, because that is a mouthful of a game name. But the way that synthesis works in that game is you have to find a recipe or buy it, and then you have specific amounts of materials that you have to go out and get from enemies, and then you can pay a certain amount and craft it at a synth shop. So, considering we're Vikings, we're the crafters, we are the synth shop, we are the crafters. That takes care of that. Considering we get recipes just off the bat, like they just pop up. We are the recipes, so we wouldn't need to necessarily go out and find the recipes. Although I think getting them from some sort of specialized merchant would be cool. And then there would be gathering materials. So the way I like it right now is, let's say you can choose to use some older stuff and a little bit of new material to make the recipe, or you can just use standard amount of material and just material alone and make the new recipe, and it would be the same recipe. So let's say you make Miss Land's tier armor, you could use it, or you could make it with just all of the materials, or you can use way less materials. Still have to go out and get some materials, but you could use way less materials, and you can use a thematically appropriate piece of armor from a previous armor set, and then you can make the same materials. And what this allows is basically non-combatants don't get an easy break. You don't get a break because there's super grind on one end, and then there's less grind from the other end, and it seems like I don't know about that. You know, like people who don't do like as much combat, like more rewarded for decoration. If it was just like really easy, because then you could just if it was just like old armor in like old weapons into new stuff, then the non-combatants would have it really easy, and then you would just use old tier stuff, make the new tier stuff, and then go back into past biomes and regather the old tier stuff to have on item stands, armor stands as decoration. That would be way too easy, way too convenient. So because of that, I added the stipulation that you have to have some of the new materials. You still have to have some of them. Still need, oh, two-star driver. Absolutely must have some of the materials. And I think that falls into the Iron Gate dev ideas and framework, because even on something simple as like raspberries. They don't want you to plant raspberries. They want you to go out and forage for it. They're like, you got to do it. You got to forage for it, even if it's something that's like quite minimal. I'm already exposing myself as Giga Gamer for saying that healing potions are minimal, but they are. Healing potions are like probably the worst of the three potions. Like if you're playing really well, it's like you saw me. I mean, people on the stream just saw me take out that one abomination, two draugrs, all those blobs, and the potions that I used were stamina and tasty meat, and that's because if you're playing well, you're not necessarily running out of health. You're running out of stamina, and then running out of stamina means you're running out of health. So ideally, you would only be using minimal raspberries for the stamina potion and for tasty meats, and not as much at all for the health, which means raspberries, not used as much, especially considering the food. But they still want you to forage. They still want you to go out and get the new materials, even if you're playing very well. They still want you to do it. And because of that, I think that making it so that you synthesize with new materials and old armors, old weapons, what have you. I think that's something that the devs wouldn't mind too much. I think they would look at that and say, "Oh yeah, I could see where we could probably do this." I don't know their own personal opinions on the matter, but we'll have to see.